Greetings from the CM Russell Museum. I'm Executive Director Tom Figarelle, and welcome to another installment of the 2020 Art in Action Artist Showcase. Joined today by Mark McKenna. Mark, thanks for joining us.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you, Tom.
No, thank you. And as folks know, this is generally an event that we have in person, and 2020's pandemic environment has required us to alter that a little bit. So Art in Action, many people are probably going to be familiar with it. It's a variation of a traditional quick draw. So artists have several hours to finish a piece of work while they're interacting with patrons. So this showcase is an effort for us to recreate that interaction. I'll ask Mark some questions that maybe you would like to be asking him if you were in the room with him during a typical Art in Action. You get a sense of his creative process, his approach as an artist, the piece that he's working on, and just a little peek into who he is as a person. So with that, Mark, we're just going to jump into it. So first and foremost, how are you doing?
Good, good. Obviously life is crazy. It's not as different for me as an artist who I'm always in my studio, socially distanced naturally. So, but other than that, I think it's been nice in a lot of ways. I've spent a lot more time with my family than I usually have been able to. And so I think there's been some good things along with a lot of the negative. And I really feel for those that have really been struggling through this, but really grateful for how things have been playing out for us, and really, really grateful.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mark. I mean, and I appreciate your perspective of hunting the good stuff and, time with family. We're all blessed with that. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a studio at your place you're able to work out of. So, I mean,
Yeah,
your
that's
space.
the beauty of our situation is we actually fixed up this old grain shed in our backyard and turned it into my awesome studio. And it may not be awesome to some people, but I love it. And
Well, it's your oasis. That's good.
right, having a little bit of separation from the kids and everything is really, really handy and helps me to focus and get the work done.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, Mark. We're just happy to hear you're doing well. So you brought up, Mark, the social distance. And if Art in Action is anything, it's the opposite of that. It's
Right.
interactive. People are close together. They're looking at a piece of art. They're talking with each other, with the artist. So take me from where you are right now, socially removed in your studio, and take us to a typical Art in Action. Why do you enjoy that? Why is that an environment that you find engaging and helpful for you as an artist?
It's really funny because a lot of artists are very they naturally are I don't know what's the word. They isolate naturally. They're introverted. Yeah,
Sure,
sorry.
sure.
And I'm definitely an extrovert. And so being an artist, I long for that social interaction with other artists and with people who love art. And so for me to get in that environment, it's electric. I love it. I love talking to people about what I'm doing. I love painting, obviously, but I also love to share it and to be with people and to laugh and joke around and just make relationships. So
Well, that is great to hear. And I've always understood, some working definitions of introvert and extrovert is what source do you get energy from? So it sounds like you get energy from that environment of being around others, having some good dialogue and conversation. Do you ever find
absolutely.
that there's some pressure and anxiety as you're working as an artist and there's people around you that you're trying to have conversations with?
Yeah, it depends on how much I have done prior to the event. If I have a lot to do and I'm still working, then that can be kind of stressful. But honestly, there's a part of me that is kind of I like thrills too, and that adrenaline rush.
Sure, sure.
And so sometimes it's actually kind of a rush to do that, but it can get stressful. But in the end, when it's all done and everything happens, it all usually ends fine and ends up working out great for everybody. So
Nice. You're a risk taker. We like that. We like that, Mark. Well, Mark, tell us about the piece that you're working on over your shoulder.
yeah, so um, this is a piece I've actually been I spent a lot of time actually composing and getting this one ready to where I wanted to actually paint it. my process is I take a lot of images, and so I actually photographed this beautiful cat this last summer. It wasn't in this setting, but you know, that position and pose, and then I was able to utilize other images and bring those together to create kind of this experience. I'm titling this one, at least I think, is the uphill advantage, and so you've got this cat who's, you know, it's getting closer to evening, the sun's going down, you've got this really beautiful kind of sunset, you know, reflecting onto these clouds behind him, and he's looking down on who knows what, and some unsuspecting victim probably, but who knows what's going to happen.
Well, I love the title. I mean, uphill advantage. If that guy was above me, he would certainly have the advantage. So that's very apt.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of alluded to it, Mark, that, you know, you do some photography to help inspire, but, you know, just generally, you know, speak to your creative process. Is that the place you always go to? Do you always use some photography to start out your work, or are there other ways that you approach your creativity?
You know, it depends on the subject, really. Because if I'm going to do like a Western scene that's figurative, I'll typically have a lot more of my own say and ideas, preliminary like sketches or things like that I would typically work from, and then I could pose models and put them in this setting, etc. But when you're dealing with animals, especially wildlife in general, you don't really have the opportunity to pose them how you'd like. And so when you're out there getting images of these animals, you are subject to what they offer you and what they give you. And so, but the beauty of this is, you know, having this experience with this cat, which if you've ever been around a real mountain lion, it's incredible. It's intimidating, and you develop a really healthy respect for their ability to take you out if that's what they want to do. They're powerful animals. And so with this, it's kind of the a beauty of the two is where I'm dealing with what the animal's given me, but then able to use my creative license to put this cat in a different scene and create a whole different feeling for my viewer.
Mark, I love that. I mean, you know, obviously when we get to celebrate an icon like Charlie Russell, I mean, he's a guy who deferred a lot to his environment, right? To nature, to wildlife, to landscape. And you're doing that. That's the spirit of Charlie, right? I mean, you're giving deference here to this big cat. He's helping develop the picture, the essence, the inspiration for you. So, I mean, good for you. I think that's a great way, and certainly, you know, reinforces the notions that Charlie captured through his art, you know, over a century ago.
Absolutely.
Well, Mark, you're a good friend of the museum. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your participation in Art in Action. So it's been really nice visiting with you today.
Well, thank you, Tom. And again, thanks for the opportunity. I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And we want to thank two other folks, obviously, our friends at D.A. Davidson Companies who sponsor Art in Action. They provide overall support to our education programs here at the museum. Their investment in our mission and the art and soul of the American West cannot be overstated. So D.A. Davidson Companies, thank you for your ongoing support. And each Art in Action artist is sponsored by an individual who then provides those proceeds to the museum's mission. And Jim Kronk has graciously sponsored Mark and his work at this year's Art in Action. So Jim, thank you for your support to the C.M. Russell Museum.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, see ya.